What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Podcast interview. First off, thank you so much for tuning in, for checking out the show. Your support is massively appreciated. The only reason that this show exists is because of all of your amazing support. So we truly appreciate your support. I truly appreciate your support. Make sure that you're sharing the show with as many people that you feel would benefit from the show. The goal is to always grow this show and go out there and have a big impact. Real quick though, before we jump into today's podcast, I want to plug our sponsors that make all of this possible. Our first sponsor is my personal 90-day mastery bootcamp. This is my real estate agent mentorship training program. It's a group training platform. This way it makes it extremely affordable for you. Inside this program, however, I am unpacking my entire playbook. I'm walking you through step by step everything that I do inside my real estate business, everything that I've done, everything I've learned in my 12-plus year career with selling over 5,000 homes, with selling over $1 billion in real estate. And I walk you through step by step exactly what I've done, how I built what I've built, and what I'm doing today to go out there and create the success. But don't mistake the low cost for low value. This is an insanely in-depth, step-by-step program where I'm walking you through, again, step-by-step on how I go out there. My team sells 1 to 2 homes every single day in today's market, continue to grow my business year after year, and how I've been able to exit from selling, exit from actually day-to-day involvement in my real estate team, and create an epic, amazing real estate team that not only sustains but grows without my involvement. So whatever level that you're at, whether you're a brand new real estate agent, you're an individual high-producing agent that wants to expand and create a team, or if you already have an amazing team, or you're a broker owner that's looking to step up your internal training, looking to step up your systems, your processes, your tracking, make your business more predictable, this program is absolutely for anybody that's serious about leveling up inside their business. So check us out, www.90daymastery.com. Make sure you use promo code LIVEMASTERY, all one word, all together, all caps. That's going to get you the biggest discount on 90daymastery.com. You're going to see tons of testimonials on their video testimonials, what's included in the program, the future dates of the program. I do several of these every single year, so make sure to check us out and make sure to jump inside that program ASAP. My next sponsor that makes this show possible is perfectstormnow.com. If you're a real estate agent and you are looking for a lead generation machine website backed by an insanely powerful CRM system that allows you to convert your leads to appointments at the highest possible level, manage all your tasks, make sure that you're effective and efficient as you possibly can be inside your business, transaction management component, all of that stuff. It is hands down by far the most effective and affordable real estate website and CRM program that exists out there in the industry. It's what I use to go out there and sell 650 plus homes every single year, and the system is gnarly. If you're signing up for that program, make sure to use promo code MASTERY, PSN, all caps, all one word, all together. That'll save you the $200 registration fee and get you a great discount. Our last sponsor is REO University. So I teamed up with a good buddy of mine who is the most knowledgeable dude, hands down, that I've ever met when it comes to REO properties. This guy used to work for the banks directly as an asset manager, and he developed so many of the systems that you see that asset managers and asset management firms and banks use today. This guy sold over 11,000 properties, foreclosure properties, as an asset manager. And he and I teamed up with my experience of working with over 35 banks in my career, selling thousands of REOs, plus his experience. We've created just an insane program. Again, REO University, the website is www.REO University. It's a one-time payment for $997, or you can split that up into 3 monthly payments. This is not a live boot camp like my 90-Day Mastery boot camp. This is something that you have access to instantaneously. We'll walk you through exactly how to go out there and get in with the banks. So how to get the business, but then how to service that business at the highest level, how to go out there and complete BPOs, how to complete cash for keys, how to make sure that you're insane at your valuations, how to go out there and make sure that your asset managers are winning and hitting their goals, key indicators you need to look for, and more. There's 22 in-depth, just amazing, powerful modules that will teach you how to become an REO machine inside your real estate business. Now, if you're like me, I don't want my business to ever be in a vulnerable position, right? I don't care if it's a good market, bad market. It doesn't mean that my business needs to be good or bad. My business can always be great. During a market crash, right? There's no such thing as if the market's going to crash. It's just a matter of when, right? But again, you don't need to put yourself in a vulnerable position. You can make sure that your real estate business is 100% recession proof, and go out there and, of course, generate business, do a ton of business regardless of what's happening in the marketplace. And this is exactly how you go out there and do it. And we walk you through step by step. So check us out, REOMasteryUniversity.com. You can learn more about the program, hopefully register for the program, jump on in. This price will not last long, right? We just created this product, rolled it out several months ago, and just getting in the hands of the consumer, and people are having a lot of amazing success. So again, check us out, REOMasteryUniversity.com. All right, again, you guys, thank you so much for watching this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to share the show. Make sure to comment. Like us on YouTube. Leave some positive comments. We love hearing back from you guys, and love getting your feedback. Keep kicking ass, and let's jump on into today's interview. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD Mode Podcast interview, where every single week we interview top entrepreneurs, top real estate agents, top health and fitness professionals, and straight up top badasses that are out there dominating their space. They're choosing to not live life of mediocrity, but instead to go out there and create big, amazing, epic lives for themselves, their families, as well as have a big impact on others. And tell you guys, we've got a repeat guest on the show. This is actually one of our first guests when we first released the podcast. I think it was even before we were doing video, which we'll have a link to Ryan's first podcast, so you can hear more of his backstory and how he got involved in the entrepreneurship and the real estate. But when I talk about, we interview top entrepreneurs, top realtors, top health and fitness professionals, like this is a dude that encompasses all of them, right? Very successful entrepreneur, broker owner, very successful real estate agent, successful coach, soon to be best-selling author, a lot of different ventures going on. So really stoked and honored to have my good friend Ryan Hodge on the show, brother.
Well, I am always honored, man. Watching and following along with you, man, is a pleasure and a joy. And I'm just so pumped to be here and connect with all your amazing people.
Yeah, dude, this is going to be a lot of fun, man. I mean, it's been, I was reflecting on this. I'm like, dude, it's been like almost 3 years, which is crazy. I know you operate and run a podcast too. And, time just flies when you're doing this. I'm like, dude, I can't fathom it's been that long, And again, those that are watching will have a link to Ryan's initial interview, so you can, again, hear how he got into real estate and all those successes. But we're recently in LA together and reconnected, and you have so much just new, epic, amazing shit going on. I'm like, dude, we got to get you back on, man. So I'm stoked, bro.
Yeah, me too, man.
So, you're one of these guys that jumped into the real estate business and out of the gate, you did some things that are just unheard of, right? I know we talked about this in the first episode, but those that are maybe just tuning in and listening to this one that hadn't heard the first, you did 100 deals your first year, or 100 plus deals, which again, your average real estate agent, I don't know because you're up in Canada, I don't know how the stats differ, but here in the States, your average first year real estate agent does 10 grand in commissions.
Yeah, man, it was a wild ride. I had gotten out of corporate sales and just kind of put the pedal to the metal. I was licensed in 2008. First full year was 2009. Clocked 117 deals, and just went for it, man. I mean, it was one of those things where I had a pretty good career before, and people always want to doubt when you make change, and that kind of motivated me at the time to just say, let's do it. And I, at the time, studied, like super, super high producers, interviewed a bunch of them, went out and just checked out, what they were doing, figured out what would work for me, what wasn't going to work for me, and, systems. And then, through the process, following along with people that are just so specific as far as their intentions towards, lead gen and things like that. There's so much information for people to be successful. So it was a good start.
Yep. Yep. So, and again, those that are watching, listening to hear Ryan's first interview where he talks about exactly how he did that. And I mean, dude, so a lot of the Facebook strategies I use today, I learned from you in that interview, right? Like now we're very intentional about friend requesting 5 new people a day that we meet in the community. And then we, have a message strategy. And, it's one of these things where what I learned from you in that podcast, I'm like, any realtor out there could be banking an extra 60 grand a year by just doing that strategy. And now it's actually part of what I teach in my boot camp, and other agents are now killing it with that strategy. And so just pick up from there though, right? Because I know we're going to get into a lot of other things that you're doing now today in addition to this, but what are you doing right now that's just killing it in your business? I mean, is it a lot of the same strategy, or are there some, kind of new things that some of these strategies have evolved into?
Sure. So, the organic Facebook stuff that I do is although I'll do a 90-minute presentation, whether I'm speaking on it or teaching it at the company or whatever, ultimately, the bread and butter in that is just prospecting through Messenger. It's simple messages that don't sell. And I've consistently done that since I started. I mean, it would be nice if Facebook had allowed you to have a friend list of, 25,000 people. Yeah. But, inside of that 5,000 people, it still allowed me to leverage, Messenger to, acquire leads. People that are using it, if they commit to it, can consistently do, like you said, 60 grand or 20 or 30 deals a year, because it's just the way that people engage now. It's just whatever I do right now, it's about understanding where can I engage, going to the greatest, depth possible with whatever audience I want to interact with. Yeah. If it's my sphere, then for me, it's Facebook. Maybe for somebody, it's Instagram, and you can apply the same strategies on Insta. If it was for, a book, well, then I'm going to look at ads and finding audiences. It's just casting that wide net and then going to the greater depths with them.
Yep. Now, since we've talked last time about this strategy, I mean, there's been new technology that's come out, like a lot of these bots, like mini chat that a lot of real estate agents and other entrepreneurs are using. Have you incorporated any of that, or is it still just,
I have not put bots in place yet, but I had one of my clients, she's up here in Canada too, different province or, similar to a state. She says she's just killing it with bots right now. Yeah. The engagement is just insane and just generating a ton of leads through it. So, it appears that it's going to be, a must if you really want to keep, creating more in that space, but I haven't done it yet.
And I know that we went deep on this in the first podcast, but can you give just an idea of when you're messaging, like what you're messaging? Because you're saying, hey, I'm developing these connections, right? And developing these relationships without selling them. And then it turns into a lead. So are these, Merry Christmas, like holiday messages or like what, give us an example of what that looks like that then leads that funnel into them becoming a lead and then a client.
Sure. So when I first started, and I wasn't big on Facebook, my content was pretty garbage, to start. I just wasn't doing it well. But what I would do was I had a friend list of 1,000 people at the time. And for anybody that had the potential to purchase, sell, or refer me a real estate transaction, that 1,000 people, I sent a simple message. Hi there, it's Ryan. Thanks for the connection. Just got into a new business with a new company, and I'd like to send you some information. Please send me your email address, phone number, and mailing address. And out of that 1,000, I think I had about 30% that responded. And the numbers are almost always the same for the people that I work with. 30% responded. Only about 100 of those people actually sent me the information that I requested. But that 100 people became an absolute gold mine, because then, I started applying the, Gary Keller's 33 touch method, and then just tweaking it to make it more me over time. And, it just naturally happens. That online conversation eventually, just like offline, will go to, how's the market, or, how's business, which, allows us to lead into, the normal sales dialogue or nurturing somebody to, wanting to work with you.
Yeah. So then, I mean, we're friends on Facebook, so I see you post. I mean, you're very active on there. So these are people that are seeing your regular posts show up in their news feed. So you're not like this secret realtor, like they know, but you also do a great job of balancing. Hey, here's real estate stuff. Here's what I'm doing with my family. I see stuff out there with you and your kids, and you working out, all these other things. So these are people that have that awareness of what you do. So it naturally just leads into those conversations. Now, do you think that that's a huge component of it, of your posting strategy? So then you don't have to necessarily be like, hey, I'm a real estate agent, call me with any needs or whatever.
Totally. And it's just evolved over time. I mean, the content creation factor of, regular, consistent posting engages different audiences. If I'm running something off my real estate sales business page, it's going to generate business from a completely different audience than somebody that may like a motivational or inspirational meme. But if I can do a bit of both, then it allows me to get a message that might come back and somebody that will say, hey man, not ready to buy or sell with you right now, but I love what you're doing. Keep inspiring. And when the time is right, I'll give you a call.
Yep.
So, everybody that is out there is a potential client if we treat them that way. But the challenge is that nobody wakes up and says, I wonder how Ryan Hodge's real estate career is doing today.
Yeah.
So it's those constant reminders without being the hardcore salesperson as far as, please come buy or sell a house with me, which is what I see, 90-95% of the agents are doing. How do we differentiate from our competition? That's my ticket.
Yeah, love it, dude. And then, because Facebook, unlike LinkedIn that you can have 100,000 connections on or whatever, infinite amounts, Facebook, man, it's a pain in the ass because you only get 5,000. Yeah. Right? So one mistake that I see so many real estate agents make now, for like you and I, it might be different because we're also recruiting agents and have coaching products that we sell agents. But for most real estate agents, like when I see their Facebook accounts, 90% of their friends are other realtors. It's their competition in their area. And we're one of those funky industries where we hang out with our competition all the time, right? So like what advice would you give to people about being intentional with those friend requests? Because, dude, you have a limited capacity to it.
Sure. To me, it is anybody that might purchase, sell, or refer. I had a guy down in my office. We do a monthly masterminds at my real estate brokerage. He came in yesterday, one of my clients, but he clips about 100 deals a year. So active agent up northern Ontario. His strategy is different. He doesn't really do the private messaging, but he reverse engages. And on 100 deals, last year he did 98% of it by referral, but 53% was agent-to-agent referral. So his out-of-town agents are generating him a ton of business, but he is so intentional with his time as far as, between 9, 12, and I think he said 5 o'clock. He will have his CRM tell him who to go out onto in Facebook and engage on one of their posts.
Wow.
And he's tracking it like crazy. And, he doesn't have the aspiration to, go 500 or 1,000 deals, but it is becoming a trackable and measurable way of generating business from out-of-town agents. For me, I don't have a lot of, in-town agents other than the ones that I want to recruit, or that maybe I have a friendship with. But you're right. I mean, you see it all the time now. Somebody's got a friend list of 1,000 people. 900 of them are agents in their real estate board that really aren't going to do business with them. So why do we, spend so much time engaging with them? Like, I don't want to waste time with that. There's a part of being social, but you will not ever see me hanging out with other realtors if I am, strictly in the sales mode. Because if I'm doing that, well, I'm not out doing what I need to be doing, and that's generating business.
Yep. Love it, dude. So outside of this Facebook strategy, is there anything else that you find, we're doing this podcast, it's beginning of March 2018. Is there anything else in your market that you're doing right now that is getting great results?
I'm still huge on online leads. I think that, for if people want to take a look at what I mean by that, check out Josh's Perfect Storm. A platform like that allows, in my opinion, anybody to drop into any market on the planet and do 100 deals if they're intentional about it. Because if you get 100, to 200 leads a month and you get your conversion rate up, anybody can do that. If they've got the right platform, if they've got the right mindset, and if they, are able to make those calls. And that to me is just, an easy one as far as, how to generate more if you want more. And even if you don't want to make the calls, learn how to do it, master the discipline, and then teach somebody to do it.
Yeah, that's so true, man. There's always somebody that loves what you hate doing. Like I hate calls, right? I hate the phone. I hate, like, even if a friend calls me, my phone rings, man. Like I get built up like internal anxiety. I'm like, fuck, who's calling me? Like, what? How dare you call me, right? Like I hate it,
Sure.
right? But just like you talked about, I got good enough at it where it generated the income that eventually I could delegate that out, teach them what to do. And now I have dudes that, call center experience that they love getting on the phone and jamming out 500 dials a day.
Sure. Well, it's huge. We had a couple young agents, 25-year-old kids. They came into our company in the first year. They were doing $40,000 each, GCI. And in 1 year, just in terms of hitting the phones, they're using Mojo. The one guy was clipping 200 calls a day. They did $200,000 each at 25 years old, like quintupled their business. And so that's the biggest thing, whatever it is, if you can just find out what works for you, or, that you've got to get it, you've got to take action as far as, some form of lead generation. And it doesn't need to be that aggressive, but there's got to be something. It can't be reactive, or else it just goes to shit.
Yep. Love it, dude. So then, last time I think that we had you on the podcast, you were, kind of really just starting your big fitness journey. I mean, you're one of these guys that's, had a night and day transformation, man. You lost a lot of weight. You got into epic shape, kind of elaborate on that, man. Like what'd you end up doing? What spurred it? And what's been the difference, dude?
Well, I think that, for me, the number one was just waking up, several different times in the last few years prior to that. All things are firing well as far as business, life in general, but just not feeling good, man. Like feeling like shit. My energy wasn't great. At the time, drinking too much. And, I just decided to do it. I was coaching with our mutual friend, Cheplack, and, he's obviously big on the fitness. And he just got me to get into, a little bit healthier routine as far as, the rituals associated with getting to the gym, switching up some workouts with, not just being on my phone the whole time I'm at the gym, but actually, clocking, a good 60 to 90 minute workout where you're doing, whether it's 50 to 80 sets of high impact intensity training. And the nutrition was the big one. That's still the one that I'll weave in and out of. I'll have moments where I'm just locked in and I can now drop right down. Or, right now I'm probably 10 pounds heavier than I'd like to be, but where to go with it, right? It's the awareness to it that will allow me to say, okay, if I'm starting to get that feeling again, well, where do I need to recommit? There's nothing wrong with recommitting. It's just being aware to it.
Yep. Love it, dude. So, one big transition that you made, there's been a lot of transitions since, we've talked. You continue growing your business, continue growing the brokerage, continue improving on your health and nutrition, as you talked about. But you also pivoted into coaching, right? Which just seems like for so many top producers, it's a natural progression, right? You go out there, you master your craft, you solve your own problems at a high enough level where the rest of the world sees you solving your problems. And now they're like, hey, dude, I want what's inside your brain to help me. So I can see how that natural progression happened. But what ultimately led you to that decision to say yes and move forward with the coaching?
Sure. When I first got into business and I took off, I started with Remax. So that's where I began my career. And what I found was that when you sell 100 homes in your first year, you get a little bit of traction inside of an industry. Remax asked me to speak at a couple of their events, which I've always enjoyed the public speaking side. But then I had, 40 or 50 people a year coming down to see me, pick my brain, do coffee. And at the time, I didn't mind it because I didn't think of myself as a coach. But what would happen was that a lot of the times people wouldn't show, or they'd be on their phone the whole time. And eventually I just said, this is bullshit. Like, I'm giving you a bit of my time. I don't mind. It's a good agent-to-agent, referral connection even. But if you're going to come down here and waste it, then I'm going to charge you for it. So I always coached silently, but, in 2015, I decided to put myself out there a little bit more just based on, some of the speaking, and more so on, just shifting a little bit from the real estate coaching to more of the, personal or spiritual development type coaching, just because my whole avatar started to change after, I started to change myself.
Yeah. Love it, dude. And yeah, let's just transition to, the coaching that you're doing today. So it started out doing a lot of tactical real estate coaching, right? And you and I both, coach very heavily in the industry, and you find out, dude, it's not a matter of real estate knowledge that's prohibiting most people, especially, people that hit a certain level of success and then get stuck, man. It's what's going on up here, dude, that prohibits them from really going out there and creating that success. So is that what you were just kind of discovering that led you into this? That like, look, dude, these people don't need to know how to generate online leads. They don't need to know scripts, right? They need to master their mindset. And was that what kind of led to this path, or how did it lead to more of the coaching style that you're doing now today?
Well, I think that, transparency is one that just allows people to step forward, right? And one of the parts of me is that I'm pretty transparent with, my story, whether it was, lower self-worth, whether it was addiction, whether it was, relationship challenges, all the wonderful experiences that I've created, while being responsible, I'm pretty transparent about, especially inside of my platform. And that's really what I started to find inside of the coaching, was that people were coming in for, online lead generation, or, how to do the Facebook strategies. But within 2 or 3 calls, they were sharing their life story because they know that I roll the same way. And it just allowed me to, start going in more of that direction as far as, what is really going to serve and support them at the highest level.
Yeah. Now, was it like, I know for me personally, man, it was very difficult to start being transparent, right? Because like you talked about, you're speaking at RE/MAX and all these different events, and people like might see on this pedestal, and then you're like, oh shit, how do I openly disclose that? I suffer from massive depression. I've suffered from addiction, all things that I've suffered from as well, and had to overcome in my life. Putting myself into $100,000 of business credit card debt and climbing out of that hole. And because always people think you're this rock star, and you're like, actually, I'm dealing with a lot of the same shit, or have dealt with the same shit that everybody else is. And to come forward in that. And once you do, you see the power in that because you become relatable. But did you struggle with coming forward and being transparent, internally?
I did until I built the confidence in myself to understand that nobody is perfect, that everybody's got some sort of a shitstorm going on in their lives, at one point in time or another. And it just attracted, the most amazing human beings as far as wanting to coach. People that were doing like way more real estate business than I ever could imagine, but complete lack of purpose in life, or some of the, the major challenges that I've experienced, and they just want a little bit more. And the start of it, I don't really, enjoy talking about, me being, on a hospital bed because I, overdosed on cocaine. We don't get up and share that too often when we're in a Century 21 brokerage, right? Like, it's just not what the brokers are hiring for. They want the good stuff. But I think that when they really look at their whole dynamic of agents, well, how many agents, maybe not to that extreme, but are facing some challenges as far as, what's really going to allow them to be productive and, at the end, support their life and their bottom line. Yeah.
So, as you're going on this journey that you've been on, I know recently, which going on this journey led you to deciding that you're going to write a book. Talk to us about the book, what the book is about. And again, it always intrigues me because it's like, all right, man, I'm going to invest my life to tell this story out there and put this out to the world. Like, again, like what really ultimately led to that. And again, what's the book about, bro?
Sure. So the book is The Integrity Vow, Engaging Your Authentic Self. Started writing a book based on just general journaling. It was one of the rituals that I had where I journal for, 10, 15 minutes a day, sometimes longer. And I thought that, maybe I did have, some sort of a book there. But in my own podcast, I did an interview with, you may have interviewed her too, Tamara Doris.
I can't remember.
Yeah. I get it. Tamara's up in San Diego, super into the metaphysics, spirituality. I had her on because she had a book, Mind Over Market. And so we were chatting, after the interview, and she just said, when are you going to write your book? And I said, well, I've got, 300 pages. She said, well, send it to me, because she does some coaching as well. And I sent it to her, and she said, you've got, a great story here, but it's a journal. And the journal is not really, marketable from a book standpoint. So we did a bunch of coaching together. And, the real purpose was, when you look at, a lot of books on spirituality, and especially in one of my favorite topics, which is, manifestation or the law of attraction, everybody knows the secret, right? Everybody, has or most have, heard of or read the book, and fantastic book. But I believe that, that book really focuses on, the aspect of visualization. And one of the key components that it doesn't cover off as much as, what I found was that the art of, or the law of allowing ourselves to receive can be an even greater component of creation or manifestation, and can be one of the greatest challenges. Because if we don't understand ourselves, if we don't, know what makes us us or what's really getting in the way, we can't allow ourselves to receive anything other than a lot of the same experiences that, we may have created in the past. So I did, a full-blown, book on, integrity, authenticity, transparency, bringing a lot of my, life into it, along with a lot of, case studies from my coaching clients, but a real covering off of, 14 different universal laws, which aren't focused on as much as law of attraction. And so it's kind of an all-in-one, just, self-empowerment, personal, spiritual development, but from a very, very ground up basis, as far as, some of the more relatable topics that, people encounter from time to time, rather than just, if I see it, it will come to fruition.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, whenever I think of visualization, manifestation, ultimately the first thing that pops in my head is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, right. Which really laid the foundation, I think, for all of self-development. He was the dude that started that transition, or that journey, whatever the hell you want to call it. But man, I mean, a dude that devoted 30 years of his life studying the most successful human beings on the planet, right? And that was one of the biggest commonalities. Man, I've yet to meet anybody that's self-made, that's extremely successful, that doesn't spend time in visualization, manifestation, and there's so much power in it, man. So but a lot of people have a difficult time with that. Like, we live in a world now where people are addicted to their cell phones. We've acquired insane amounts of ADD. They can't meditate. They can't take the time, or not that they can't, they just don't know where to start. It becomes very intimidating. Like, what advice would you have when somebody's wanting to start that journey? What's the easy way to kind of, baby's got to crawl before it walks before it runs. Like, what's a good way to start transitioning into that?
I think that it's just a matter of looking at, what I reference as, the grand trilogy, right? Body, mind, and spirit. How do they feel about their body? How do they feel about their mind? And that can encapsulate, business as well. And how do they feel about their spirit? Because, ultimately, and you hear it, coined a number of different ways, but success does not equal fulfillment.
Right.
Success is actually more of a toxic replacement for fulfillment. And so in my own experience, you wake up after, selling 117 homes in your first year, and you feel like shit, what just happened? Everybody else thinks this guy's having great success, but the fulfillment wasn't there. Or, fast forward a few years, you open an independent brokerage and, recruiting like crazy, companies, going, 90 miles an hour. January 1st didn't feel very good. And I think that if we don't understand ourselves at a deep level, then that fulfillment factor never really comes to fruition. We can escape into other things. We can try to do things that are going to make us feel that way. But if it's not from that real deep rooted core level, I think we're just masking it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Tony, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. So, Tony Robbins talks about that a lot, right? Like, as far as to create true success, right? Like, you got to have that monetary path and that monetary goal, but then you got to have this fulfillment goal, over that. But a lot of people, kind of same thing, is they're like, well, shit, I don't know what would make me fulfilled. right? We're just, so many people are just kind of numb to life, sleepwalking through life. And when they think about what would make me, fulfillment is really long-term happiness, really like on a deep core level, not happiness like a case of beer is going to buy you and then you feel like shit the next day, but that long-term happiness and joy, if you will. If somebody's struggling, if they're asking, what would make me fulfilled? Well, like, where does somebody even start with that? Because I meet so many people, and I've had different areas in my life where I'm like, dude, I don't even know what would make me fulfilled.
Well, I mean, you say it well in your boot camp, man. If a doctor gave you, 24 or 48 hours to live, what would make two lists? The people that you would need to call and why, and the people that you would need to see or go visit and why. And ultimately, I'll have clients that don't know. Like they don't even know who they would need to make a phone call to because they're so wrapped up in this thing, observing other people's lives that they don't know what, their own life feels like. And that's where we talk about purpose, right? So what is life's purpose? Well, it took me 38 years to understand that's to, lead, serve, inspire, facilitate growth for, other human beings in any way I can. I mean, I think that, you do it at just a massive, massive level. But so many people that are clipping, $2 million in gross commissions a year, they don't know what their purpose is. So it's, looking at, just those simple, areas of, what is it that, makes you happy? Who are the people that you want to surround yourselves in your life? That can be family, that can be charity. But if there's no foundation for it, then, there's some deep-rooted self-discovery to do.
Yeah. And I agree, man. I think when people are trying to find their purpose, right? And it seems like it screws up as many people as it helps it when they're on this discovery. Because we hear dudes like Elon Musk that are so clear in their purpose, which is to solve interstellar space travel before he leaves this planet. Right. And we feel like sometimes we gotta have this grand purpose, right? But I love that you talked about just make it simple, right? Like it's like, what is the thing that if money was not an issue and you had enough money to float yourself for the rest of your life and live a great life, what is the thing that you would still do for free that just makes you feel amazing, that makes you feel good? And it's just those little things, man. People just try to overcomplicate so much shit and it just jacks them up.
Totally. Well, and I mean, we hear all the time about, karma, right? What goes around comes around, universal law of karma, every action has a consequence, whether it's positive or negative. What we don't hear too much is about dharma, right? The universal law of dharma, which says that anything and everything on this planet has a purpose. Dharma can be family. Dharma can be charity. Dharma can be, anything that you desire it to be if you're true to yourself and what that is. And really, instead of that circular nature of karma, dharma is more linear, right? Just like, what's the next right thing that I need to do to serve my purpose? Maybe it's taking a step outside for a walk even. Like it doesn't need to be so complex.
Yep. Yeah, I love it, dude. Love it, man. So then, with this, is your last time we talked? I can't remember if you had already released the book or if it's not released. When's it coming out? Do you have a waiting list, or where's the best place for those that are watching, and listening to go get a hold of that?
So the book is now out on all channels. It's at www.theintegrityvow.com. That's it right there. www.theintegrityvow.com. It's also on Amazon, Kindle, just put it out on Audible, which I'm so pumped about. That's an experience in itself, 40 or 50 hours in the recording studio. And it's totally different when you're, reading your own book and yeah, what a humbling process. So it's on Audible as well. And it's kind of going all over the map.
Yeah, love it. And those watching and listen will make it really easy on it. We'll have links right below where you can just go to all the different channels and go get a copy. All right. So you talked about mind, body, spirit. I think most people that are here on listening to the podcast, like we get the mind and body, right? Like, taking care of your mindset, things that we talked about, developing, and maybe the purpose is more on the spiritual front. But when it comes to spirit, I think a lot of people have a difficult time with identifying that path, right? Because you get a lot of people like, hey man, I'm not religious. I'm not, like if I look at myself, like I'm a realist, I'm not really, religious. I'm really not an extremely spiritual guy. So then what does spirit mean? And what does it at least mean in the context that you're putting it out there? And how do people get in alignment with spirit?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it talks, a lot about spirituality. Is such a, like you said, such a broad topic. Some people will reference God, some people will reference Buddha, some people will reference, the soul. I think it's whatever resonates and feels good. I held an event on Tuesday in Toronto, Canada. It's called an awakening event. So small group mastermind, but total spirituality. And I had a shaman there, which was, like First Nations, talking about, his way of thinking. And then I had a metaphysics guide, which was more law of attraction and, more like a psychic. And they just kind of clashed because they're talking at each other as far as this is the way. And I'm like, oh shit, like get them both out of here. Like, this isn't what I want. But the audience that I had there, they all heard it as far as it being and meaning pretty much the same thing. The spirit is just the, aspects of ourselves that, we want to uncover and explore that, maybe, buried deep within. You can look at energy as a form of spirituality. You can look at, and there's 9 different types of energy study. I think it's so complex that to narrow it down is challenging, but it's whatever is going to allow you to, bring that best version of you into the experience, but in a real way, in a real, transparent and authentic way that you're living your truest self.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those, like when you talk about those two guys arguing, right? It's, so many people get it in their head that there's this absolute truth, right? That their belief system is the absolute truth. And I don't really know. I mean, there's maybe some absolute truths out there like gravity, right? I mean, there are some laws that we could probably agree with their absolute truths, but it really is about discovering what is your personal absolute truth for yourself. It doesn't matter if it's anybody else's belief system or absolute truth. I mean, would you agree to that when it comes to that spiritual component?
Totally. I mean, I have clients that are what I would say is pretty fear-based religion, like fear of God, or whatever it is that they follow along with in their own religion. And they'll still go down a spiritual path, but it might just be on, uncovering a little bit as far as, what's made them get to the point that they're at, or, they follow this, they're, so righteous about it, but there's still a lot of parts of them that they, just can't seem to figure out. And so it's different for everyone, man. I don't think that there's one right way. I mean, even the greatest spiritual guides that I've encountered will more often than not say, not everything that we say may resonate with you, but if you can just take parts of it that are going to work for you, then we've served our purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like like you got to allow yourself to be open-minded enough, right. To listen to those concepts. And then again, develop what your own absolute truth is and your own belief system is for yourself.
For sure. I was at a 1-year intensive, and I had to go out to the States. There's a couple sessions, and the first session that I was at, and pretty major spiritual guru of our time, somebody was reading a different book than the one that they authored, and they were told to close the book. It doesn't exist. And I was like, there's no way I'm coming back to this. Like, it's just it's not open. That doesn't serve anybody. That's trying to control a circumstance that, is completely out of their control.
Yep. So then, I mean, you've talked a lot about, working with all these different gurus and coaches and going through these different experiences personally. I mean, and I know as a coach, like we're you and I both are massive on self-development, but can you elaborate on the importance of self-development, like what that's the impact it's had on your life? And again, being open, like right now, which is probably freaking my wife out, but I've been on this massive Hitler kick, right. And not that like, I don't respect the guy. I mean, there's elements of him, like his focus and how, I mean, I don't want to call him a great leader. He's one of the worst human beings on the planet, but you can learn so much from a dude like that. Right. So, I like to go out there and study, from, Gandhi to Hitler, right? And just be open-minded enough to pick up different nuggets with this and all of that. I mean, can you just elaborate on again, what your self-development looks like and the importance of it, and the importance also of keeping that open-mindedness as you are self-developing?
Sure. I don't believe that we can serve anybody, including our friends, family, real estate clients, or whoever, until we learn to serve ourselves first. That was just completely instilled, upon me with one of my first coaches. But like I said, man, I mean, you can be doing all things great in business. But if you're not, working on yourself, something crashes, man. At some point, something crashes, whether it's your relationship, whether it's your health, whether you, do get involved with addiction or some other major challenge. It doesn't allow us to navigate through the shitstorms of life if we don't know what makes us us. And so when we look at, the people that we study, it can be anything, man. Like I totally understand where you're coming from with, the leadership aspect of, different people like Gandhi or Hitler. I was actually, my girlfriend is just huge on, World War II, like just major World War II buff. And I thought that was the weirdest thing on the planet when I first heard it. But, I spoke in Poland at a real estate conference back in November, and we went to Auschwitz-Birkenau, which was the biggest, Nazi concentration camp. And she's a total spirit chaser like me, but like she had such, a profound experience there that, like it's whatever works for anyone. Like that was something that she needed to do and go do for her own personal self. I mean, I had an amazing experience, but it wasn't quite as profound. But it's, how am I going to allow myself to become the best version of me possible? Who do I need to, reach out to ascend with, rather than, finding, that the same way is just going to keep working? Because for most people, it doesn't. There's 2 to 3% on the population that really want to come to understand themselves at the deepest, most significant level. And I say that with love, because life can be painful. What's buried in our unconscious minds can be, fucking horrible, right? Depending on what we've gone through. Oftentimes, it's so much easier just to escape into something else to avoid taking a good, deep, hard look at ourselves. And whether it is meditation, NLP, going for a walk, hitting the gym, like whatever's going to allow us to, raise our vibration or, maintain a higher optimal energy level, like do it. Because if you're not doing it for yourself, how the hell can you do it for anybody? Like anybody on the planet, how can you do it for anyone if you can't do it for yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. We live amongst a society where it's looked very negatively on if you're selfish, right? But I'm in the same boat you are. I'm like, dude, you've got to learn to be selfish. I always compare it to the when you fly on an airplane, right? Like, hey, if the cabin pressure drops and like you're with your kids, you put your mask on first before you help your kids. Because if my ass gets knocked out, now I can't help my kids, right, at all, right? So the only way you can show up as the best version of yourself is to take care of yourself first. And to do that, we've got to be selfish to an extent, right? Like I look at all these parents that sacrifice all their dreams, goals, and visions to just give a better life for their kids. And I'm like, dude, that's the worst thing you can do, right? Like your kids are just going to go out there and model after what you did. And the growth, the generational growth is going to be very, very small. But if your kids are always seeing mom and dad chase their dreams, goals, and visions, then they're going to make sure that they're chasing their dreams, goals, and visions. And so when it comes to that though, and I don't know if you've experienced this, but I find that women, especially moms, suffer from this way more than I think. It's a lot easier for us guys to be selfish, right? And they just seem to have such a difficult time being selfish, so then they can show up as the best version of themselves. Like what advice would you give to somebody that maybe is struggling with those concepts of putting themselves first?
Yeah, man, be selfish, be self-serving. I mean, that I would say is one of the things that, when you look at your priorities, having yourself as number one in a responsible way, and then your relationship with your, wife or significant other or whoever as number two, even before the kids, is massive. I mean, no secret, my wife and I separated and we're on amazing terms. But those two things right there, not putting myself first as far as, looking after myself, and not putting the two of us first as far as looking after our relationship, were the killers. And it happened over time, and it wasted a lot of time. And I think that it just runs rampant in our society. I was always killer hockey dad, right? A couple hundred hockey rinks a year, great at doing that. so good at, writing real estate deals or, the next business opportunity, really good at that. But until I learned that, I had to look after myself a little bit better, none of it mattered, because I'd wake up in a shitstorm time and time again because I wasn't being selfish or self-serving. And the same thing then carried over into my relationship.
Yeah. So what I love about the journey that you're on and taking is it increases your vertical, right? Like I remember hearing Grant Cardone speak, and he said one of his biggest mistakes was pigeonholing himself so deep in the auto industry, the car industry, and not raising that vertical with all entrepreneurship, which allows that much more expansion. And with the, what you're doing now today, it applies to really any human being out there, right? So, is that where you see the future of this going, where it's just not real estate space specific and you see yourself kind of going into, and I don't even want to say just all entrepreneurship, right? I mean, this is stuff that can help any human being that does want to level up in life.
Sure. A lot of my clients now are not in the real estate business. They come in just because they've read the book or, they've been referred by, maybe a friend that's a realtor. And I follow along with guys like you, as far as motivation, inspiration, and, not to pump your tires, but, in studying, people like you with that entrepreneurial spirit, those are the people, and you're the type of people that I follow along with, because it's a borrowed belief. And it's ascension, a lot of associations of people that we surround ourselves with the most, but why aren't we seeking others to actually ascend with, as far as who's going to motivate and inspire? And, I had this happen the other day. I mean, I recently, purchased my real estate organization in full from my business partner. And I had, close to 100 people that were, asking me about the coaching and speaking and how that's going to impact them. And, I've got to be responsible with that, because there is, a level of, making myself present, stabilization, growth, putting a lot more effort, into the company that I own and that I chose to purchase. But there's also showing people that you can do different things and, go to different levels in that entrepreneurial spirit. And, over time, I think that, it's going to be, real estate always being some sort of vehicle for me to do some of the amazing things that I love doing. And I mean, I've got a massive passion for the company that I own, but, picking and choosing your spots to be able to do different things too.
Yeah. Love it, dude. So, man, so you got an awesome podcast. You've got an awesome Facebook group, for realtors, entrepreneurs to jump into. Obviously, we've talked about, the book and your coaching programs that you do an amazing job with. Where can you just kind of hit on each of those, where to go if somebody wants to join the Facebook group, somebody wants to check out your podcast, somebody wants to reach out to you about your coaching, like where are the best places to go do all of that at?
Sure. So the book is www.theintegrityvow.com. Again, it's on Audible, Amazon, all over the map now. If people want to reach out to me on coaching or, the private membership group or, any of the other things that I do, real estate related wise, www.ryanhodge.com is probably the best way for them to get me.
Yeah, love it, man. And then the Facebook group, because everybody here is on Facebook, I'm assuming, right? If you're not, what the hell's wrong with you? But, the Facebook group, it's a free group. You give it so much content, so much value in there. You have your podcast you're releasing inside there. What's the name of the group? And so if they want to join that too.
Sure. Be Relevant. Be Relevant is the Facebook group that I facilitate with good friend John Cheplack, as far as putting a bunch of content out there, primarily in the digital marketing space, and then bring some interviews of amazing human beings that want to contribute and share as well.
Yeah. So then you talked a lot about speaking, and I know you're an awesome, amazing speaker. On ryanhodge.com, is it? Do you have your speaking schedule if people want to come watch an event? Is that on there as well? Yeah, the event schedule is not there right now. I'm just I'm taking a little bit of a slow run with the speaking this year, just based on the company transition. And honestly, a lot of the conversation that we've had, Josh, as far as being intentional with time, even the one-on-ones that I'm doing, I'm very limited with the amount or quantity of one-on-ones that I'll take right now.
just because I've got some priorities. I mean, I've got 3 young boys, you know, they're 12, 10, and 6. They're keeping me crazy busy. I've got the real estate company, you know, the book that kind of runs itself now. But, you know, there's certain spots that I think you just got to get a little bit more, you know, siloed and intentional so that we're not wasting time either. I'll still do a few events this year, but not many.
Yep. Love it, dude. So if the Ryan Hodge today could go back to the Ryan Hodge when he first started your entrepreneurship journey, whether it was in 2008, 2009, or whatever the year that was, and give yourself 2 pieces of advice that you feel would have just fast forwarded your trajectory to success, what would those 2 pieces of advice look like, knowing what you know now today?
Mm-hmm. First piece of advice would be to understand myself, you know, to do some deep-rooted work as far as what really limits me, you know, self-limiting beliefs, you know, the path of awareness, uncovering all the crap that I needed to get clear on. And the second part would be to find people that you can, you know, really watch and mirror, even if you're not going to be the same, you know, like, I am never going to sell, you know, 600-700 homes or, you know, 1,000 homes like you do, but watching people that have had success in places and spaces that you'd like to have success in at an ultra high level, and just taking, you know, really good golden nuggets from them rather than trying to create everything yourself, will have a profound experience.
Yep. Love it. Couldn't agree more, man. Powerful stuff. And those watch and listen, I know I end every podcast with this, but information without implementation is just a start of delusion. Information isn't power. It's taking that information, taking action on it, that then creates the power inside your life for you to go out there and create the life you truly know you want and deserve. And Ryan shared so many amazing pieces of advice with you guys. Take something that you learned, go out there, take immediate action. So again, you can go out there and create that life you know you want, deserve. And below, wherever, if you're on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, the website, wherever you're at, will be links to everything that we talked about today, from the first podcast that we did with Ryan, so you can learn more about his background, how he sold 117 homes his first year. We went deep into that, as well as the book, all the websites we dropped today. So check that out right away. And Ryan, man, I know how busy you are, and I truly appreciate you taking time out. You're busy to be here, dude. This has been a lot of fun.
Honored, man. It's a pleasure to know you and continue on our path.
Yep, 100% the same, my friend. All right, you guys, we will see you next time. Peace.